It is the Pete Souza Show. We are live. 3:30 start today. Getting a late start. We had the Baylor basketball game today. I was filling in for John Morris on the radio. And before that, we filmed Inside the 12, the TV show for the Big 12. Welcome to King McClure today. A partner of mine at ESPN and, of course, Rogue Media. So King joined us. He's going to be the basketball analyst. And excuse me. That was a lot of fun. So it's been a busy morning, but I couldn't wait to get over here. I was thinking about man, this is a fun day. You get a little tired, but I mean, come on, you can't complain about this. Zach Burke on the wheels of steel, Zach Owen in the other room getting interviewed by Ava from Rogue Media Network. And we are presented by Slovacics. I didn't know Ray from Slovacics. His last name was Ray Broker. Like Ray Broker, like heating, I guess. Yeah. But they sold it since. Anyways, Ray's one of my heroes. Thanks to Ray. Of course, thanks to Crawford Austin Property, D1, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, and of course, First National Bank of Central Texas. I got to reach out to Dan, make sure he gets his rear end here tomorrow. So we'll talk Baylor basketball. We also have an interview with Mike Foreman, a Heisman voter, coming up in the second segment. And I want to start today with there's more news on this front. And I feel this is something we've all been through in one way or another. You know how I was talking to a guy today. This was cool because obviously my story of sobriety, I put it out there. Been sober for a while now. And it's I like to share it. I should share it more now, actually. I've kind of almost gotten away from it as I've gotten busier. But this guy, publicly I'm out there and as public as somebody like me can be. Anyways, the guy was like, hey, I really appreciate you sharing about your addiction. It impacts more people than you know. I totally was taken back and I felt great about that any kind of message I'm putting out there is helping people. Of course, awesome. So another thing that impacts people a lot, bad relationships, right? If they don't impact you, they impact a friend of yours or a brother or a sister. And it can screw up a family. It can screw up professional life. It can just throw your life totally out of whack. I haven't heard anything. Of course I haven't, right? It's not like I'm wired into Bill Belichick's personal life. But the closer we get to this North Carolina thing becoming official, my brain, I'm ready to short circuit, smoke coming out of my ears, I just, it doesn't make sense to me. And again, I always say it, there is so much that we don't know. And I understand that. So I'm going into this eyes wide open, knowing that there's just so much I don't know. However, I do find it interesting. I feel you ever have a friend, you ever been that friend who is moving quickly in a relationship and you're making bad decisions that really will impact your life long term. Now, I'm not saying that Bill Belichick's girlfriend is the battery behind this operation or this decision-making process that could land him at North Carolina. I'm not saying that. I am saying that I feel Bill Belichick going down the line with North Carolina is watching a buddy with right now he's flirting with North Carolina and he's all of a sudden gotten hot and heavy and you never would have pictured these two people together, right? You're whoa, wait, what is he doing with North Carolina? Really? Bill Belichick, Ramses? Doesn't make any sense. Bill Belichick was just winning 6 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick remains should be, I don't want to say anything the wrong way, but he should be working in rare air. I feel North Carolina is a step down and I feel he's moving too fast. And at the end of the day, I do feel this will not happen. You have my word, will not happen. I feel we've run into too many snags and too much back and forth. And if it is potential, if there is a potential that Bill Belichick is I'm doing this to get other other offers or other interests. Like he's probably getting that right now. But I want to give you the absolute latest. This is from ESPN, and it is from Pete Thamel. So it says that North Carolina is working to close a deal with Bill Belichick to make the 6-time Super Bowl champ the Tar Heels coach. But sources tell ESPN there are still issues on both sides. Sources added that the ball is in Belichick's court and that North Carolina officials are on board with him becoming the coach. A resolution is expected in the near future. Like, give me a break on that timetable, the near future. Okay, now this is where it gets so much fun. I love this stuff. Among the issues right now, Bill Belichick's son and current Washington defensive coordinator, Stephen Belichick, they want to get him to be the defensive coordinator of North Carolina. Other issues, North Carolina's name, image, and likeness resources, Belichick's salary, and resources for the staff and reporting structure. Good call by Cam. He mentioned yesterday when I was on his show that Bill Belichick had submitted like a 400-page document to North Carolina, basically saying what he would need to make it work. That's very efficient by Belichick, right? Very, very smart. I mean, we're talking about Bill Belichick. Like he's saying, hey, here's what we'll do. Here's what we'll do. The hiring of Belichick, 72, would resonate as one of the most stunning and compelling moves in college football history. Listen to that. He worked in the NFL in some capacity from 75 until his divorce with the Patriots in 2023. So we're talking about nonstop, like 50 years almost. The transfer portal opened on Monday, so the Tar Heels roster is potentially in flux. Belichick spoke in hypotheticals about what his college program could look like. This is when he was talking to Pat McAfee, stressing if he took the college job, he observed that modern college football looks a lot more like the NFL. So, like, I still don't think this is going to happen. I feel like at the last moment, this deal will crumble. And I think it's because, one, Bill Belichick is asking a lot. And two, I think that Bill Belichick is either fielding phone calls from other organizations, dare I say universities, but other organizations saying, hey, I would have to imagine if you were an NFL team that was really interested in him, you're calling him right now and you're saying, hey, hang in there. If you can, like we've got something lined up for you. Maybe he needs a guarantee. I don't know. Back to my original point, I feel like a buddy of mine has met a girl who in one way or another, like totally moves him and has him losing his mind. And he's about to make a really bad decision. Like, oh, I think I'm going to move in with her. Or oh, I think I'm going to marry her. See, right now it's all fun and games because he's just flirting with North Carolina. So it's like, it's no big deal. Remember, Bill Belichick was a guy, I don't know if it was once or twice. Remember, he took the Jets job for a day and then turned around and said, I don't want it. Right. And wrote on his resignation, I resign as head coach of the NYJ or as HC of the NYJ. Wrote it out on a cocktail napkin. Okay. And turned it into the Jets. And that was his way of resigning. I feel like there was another episode where he was like head coach for a day. I could be wrong. Oh, no, he was head coach of the Patriots for a day when Bill Belichick was suspended or something. There was some trade or something that happened that went. What happened? Oh, Belichick, Parcells left the Patriots to go to the Jets. That's what it was. So there's a lot going on here. And I really am hoping that Bill Belichick does not take this job. And I have a lot of skin in the game, man. Like, I love football. I love pro football. I know college football. I cover college football. I think that, as I said yesterday, Bill Belichick would get lost in the shuffle at the college football level and being a head coach. And the latest news has us headed to the altar now with Belichick and the possibility that this situation would become a reality. I don't worry. I'm not like, I don't worry about his legacy being tarnished, or it's impossible to tarnish a legacy that includes 6 Super Bowls. and possibly the best dynasty in pro football history. You can't take that away from anybody, especially when you're 72. That's another thing too. Is he too old? I don't think so. I believe like football is football, and I think that he'll be able to get through to his players. It's not that deep. I don't think. I think that he'll get guys around him that can recruit. So I want to see. So I'm looking now a little more about the portal opening. So here's more of what Belichick said. I want to convey this to you. This is ESPN. If I was in a college program, the college program would be a pipeline to the NFL for the players that had the ability to play in the NFL, Belichick said. It would be a professional program, training, nutrition, scheme, coaching, and techniques that would transfer to the NFL. So this is another thing where I think you can get North Carolina. They put together an emergency board of governors meeting or whoever, and it was discussed that the quotes like that don't really favor higher education. And I get it. Like, it is what it is now. Like John Calipari is like, hey, we don't just get guys drafted. This is when he was at Kentucky, but I'm sure he can say it at Arkansas too, because it's still him. But we don't just get guys drafted. We get all-stars. We'll turn you into an all-star. You know, Bill Belichick is going to say now, hey, this is like a program that will get you ready for pro football. But a provost doesn't want to hear that. Clearly, the Bill Belichick, if he gets a chance to talk to the provost, which he already has, but if he gets a chance to talk to a leader like that, he will have a way of convincing him and kind of smoothing over those rough edges. But it is a real departure for a school like North Carolina. It would be their first leap into, we're just going straight, like we're going after it. You know, even the North Carolina basketball team, if you remember years ago, this is pre-NIL, all that stuff, there was like a bunch of guys who were taking electives that were like classes that were like total jokes. And it was a huge deal at North Carolina because, like, far be it for North Carolina to commit like some kind of educational sin like that to let their basketball team take easy classes, which is like, you know, it's an open bar as far as that's concerned all around the country. That's the fact of the matter is, like, let's just get these guys to go to class in a lot of places before they depart for another school or possibly a pro career. So that would be a real come to Jesus conversation amongst educators at North Carolina. Like, we have a guy saying that he was basically going to run a pro football program here. At no time, and I'm sure he will use the correct language, but at no time, I was reading this quote and listening to this conversation earlier, and I thought at some point he will come in on the back end and say, you know, young men and their growth off the field and education is a paramount concern for me headed into a possible opportunity like the head coach of North Carolina. No, I'll read the coach again. If I was in a college, the quote again, if I was in a college program, the college program will be a pipeline to the NFL for the players that had the ability to play in the NFL. It will be a professional program, training, nutrition, scheme, coaching, and techniques that would transfer to the NFL. I.e., if you come to play for me, I'll put you in the NFL, which is a great way to get some of the best players in the country to buy into your system. Still don't want to see it happen. Still, ultimately, am not sure that it would even work, but we're going to find out. And when we find out, I mean, we could be finding out here in the next couple hours. Let's see the most recent piece of news on this, as I want to see if I can get us the most up-to-date before we run to a break here. No, it still says the ball's in his court. Albert Breer tweeted an hour ago, ex-Patriots coach Bill Belichick and North Carolina have worked through the financial terms the last 24 hours in hopes they want a deal to get done by today. Sources tell me and Pat Forty. An emergency board of trustees meeting would need to be held to approve it. Okay, so that's the deal. So we'll find out what happens. I'm very interested to continue to follow this story. I'm loving following this story. To move to college, there's a lot of talk as we head into the playoff. We do have a little bit of a slow time. I think the first bowl is on the 14th, and that same night we will have the Heisman Trophy. in New York City in the downtown. I don't think it's at the Downtown Athletic Club anymore, but I wanted to say that real bad. And the Heisman Trophy is going to be won by Travis Hunter. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, in my opinion. Travis Hunter, we talked about this morning on that Inside the 12 show. Over the course of the season, Colorado football played 1,700 snaps, right? Over the course of the entire season. Travis Hunter was on the field for 87% of those. And he was playing at an elite level on both sides of the ball, right? He's up for the Bednarik Award, which, to my understanding, is the Defensive Player of the Year in college football. He's up for the Biletnikoff Award, which is the award for the best wide receiver in college football. And he's up for the Heisman Trophy, which is the award for the best player in college football. Hang in there with me 1 second. Let's see this. I want to see the odds. Heisman Trophy odds right now. All right, betting favorites. Here we go. Travis Hunter is minus 2,000. So there you have it, pal. You want a long shot? Ashton Genty, plus 800. Dylan Gabriel, plus 3,500. Cam Ward, plus 50,000. Yeah, and you want to talk long shot? That's pretty cool. So there you have it right there. Travis Hunter's going to win going away, like we said months ago. I don't think it's that complicated. No Shador Sanders at the ceremony, no Cam Scatteraboo. But I think it's really cool that Travis Hunter is going to win this award. And I think the only downside of it is that Colorado is the most prolific, explosive team in college football. One of them, but they're not in the college football playoff. And they have nobody to thank but themselves. They are to blame. They lost that game to Kansas on the road to Kansas, which they should have won. So now we've got the Valero Alamo Bowl between Travis Hunter, Colorado, and Jacob Retzloff and BYU. And King McClure and I had the chance to talk to Fox Sports' Tim Brando today. And Brando was talking about the fact that BYU is going to have to limit explosive plays, which is, plays of 20 yards or more. I think he's 1,000% right, but I don't think they'll be able to. I think that BYU has gotten worse throughout the season. I think that Colorado has gotten better. Not that we want to sit here and wax poetic about the Alamo Bowl, but I think Colorado will win that game going away. Those are just a couple teams I know a little bit about. I talked about Baylor basketball earlier this morning. Jeremy Roach is still out. Obviously, spectacular player, transfer from Duke, played in a Final Four for Duke, won an ACC championship. He is sort of like the rock so far of this team, even though he's a transfer. He does it all. And when he's not out on the court, you really, really notice it. It did not start against Abilene Christian and did not start this game. Now, the good news of all that is that a player like Rob Wright, a freshman out of Philly, who sat up here earlier this year, and we interviewed him, and he is your typical Baylor guy. Just like you're around him and you're like, how can this guy be that good at anything and still be this kind and humble? But like, that's just kind of how it goes around here. And so Rob Wright played today. I think he had 13 assists and 14 points. And he broke a record for freshmen for assists in a game. And he's just a special player. And VJ Edgecombe, if you didn't see it, I want you to Google it. I should have sent this to Zach, but I forgot to send it to him, a clip to show you. He had a follow-up dunk today that was like stuff of Allen Iverson. Like truly, I think he took off. It was a missed three-pointer in the second half, probably like with 6 minutes left. And I think he took off from beyond 15 feet. And he grabbed the ball with two hands and he flushed it. And again, like, you will not have to search hard to find this highlight. You will see it on SportsCenter later on tonight if that's your thing, or very easily. You will come across it just scrolling. And this is like the version of happy scrolling, not doom scrolling, because this is some good news. It's absolutely amazing. Every time VJ Edgecombe, the freshman from the Bahamas, preseason Big 12 player, Rookie of the Year, is out on the floor, he is making unbelievable plays. And he is a reason to go watch Baylor. Now, nobody can go watch Baylor basketball for another 16 days because they don't play until 2 days after Christmas. They have some work to do. We'll talk more about Baylor and the Bears and the experience today with boots on the ground calling the game. But I do want to come back on the other side of this break. This is something we captured yesterday with Heisman voter Mike Foreman. He is out of Victoria, and this is a cool little window into. He writes for the Victoria Advocate. He has been a Heisman voter back since 1997, I believe. And, he doesn't work at the USA Today, but he covers college football and high school football with the best of them. And he gives us a window into what it's like actually to vote, how he became a voter, the craziest thing he was ever given as a PR campaign, and some of the most difficult decisions he's had to make being a Heisman voter. And we also talked to him a little bit about SMU football, Pony XS. We'll be back after this. The Pete Souza Show, powered by the Rogue Media Network, rolls on.
It's a